everyone! Today we're reading Mr. Putter and Tabby Pick the Pears. Who's it made by?
Cynthia Rowland and Arthur Howard.
And it's the Mr. Putter and Tabby series. Whoop whoop! Whoop whoop! Whoop whoop! Whoop whoop! Oh man, we're doing so many books and I can't even believe it. Oh man. And on the back we have Tabby sleeping in some pile of leaves. And it says Mr. Putter and Tabby Pick the Pears. What does it say over here?
Mr. Putter loves pear jelly, and it's time to pick the pears. But he has a problem. Cranky legs. Cranky legs are no fun, especially if you want pear jelly. So Mr. Putter thinks up a zingy plan. Is his fine cat, Tabby, ready for all the excitement?
Wow, that was cool. Hello! Can I listen to you read? Sure, Catboy. Yay! Me too. Okay, Quasi. Woohoo! Got some little friends here and they're right beside the cat car, see? Okay, let's go. So, Mr. Putter and Tabby picks the pears. Woo, woo! Mr. Putter and Tabby pick the pears. Mr. Putter and Tabby pick the pears. It was fall. Juicy things are growing in Mr. Putter's backyard. Juicy apples, juicy tomatoes, and juicy pears.
Mr. Putter walked with his fine cat Tabby among the juicy things, and he dreamed. He dreamed of apple pie and apple turnovers. He dreamed of hot apple cider with a cinnamon stick and stuffed red tomatoes.
Oop. Well, most of all, he dreamed of pear juicy. Mr. Putter loved pear juicy ever since he was a boy.
Pear jelly.
Fall was his favorite season because of pear jelly. And now it's time. Tabby said, Mr. Putter, it's time to pick the pears.
Tabby loved it when Mr. Putter said it was time to do something. She was old, but she still liked excitement. She followed Mr. Putter into the garage, where he found a ladder for pear picking. Then they went to the backyard where all the excitement was.
Mr. Putter had a ladder problem. He sat on his ladder against the pine tree. He couldn't get up the ladder. Last year he got up the ladder and he had crick legs, crick legs, crick knees, and crick feet.
He stepped onto the ladder, and his legs were so cranky he had to get right off again. One trouble with being old, said Mr. Putter, is being cranky. Tabby knew what he meant. She had a cranky tail. Some days it was so cranky it wouldn't swish. It just stuck. It just stuck with the air like a stick. Cranky legs and cranky tails are no fun when you're old, especially if you want pear jelly.
Wow, this is so cool so far. Mr. Putter looked at the pears in the tree. He dot, and dot. Tabby curled up and waited. She liked excitement, but she could wait for it.
What I need, said Mr. Putter at last, is a good slingshot. Mr. Putter knew about slingshots. He had played with them as a boy. They were good for knocking cans off logs, so they must be good for knocking pears off trees. Tabby followed him into the house to make a slingshot.
Mr. Putter found a pair of old letters he didn't like because it's covered with poodles. His brother gave him the underwear for his birthday. His brother loved underwear. He thought it was funny, but Mr. Putter was not. So he curled up the underwear. Then he got an old glove. Then he got a stick. Then he made the slingshot.
Mr. Putter and Tabby went back to the pear tree. Mr. Putter needed something hard and round to sling. Many of his apples were already fallen, so he picked up an apple. He put the apple in a slingshot and it aimed at he aimed at a pear in the tree and pulled back as hard as he could.
Zing! They had apple fly up, up, up. Mr. Putter over Mr. Putter's pear tree, over Mr. Putter's apple tree, over Mr. Putter's creamy, and over Mr. Putter's house. Mr. Putter and Tabby watched. Flew of the sun. Said Mr. Putter. He picked up another apple.
Zing, up, 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 over, 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 out of sight. Wow, said Mr. Putter. He was smiling. He might have cranky legs, but he sure had jiffy hands. He picked up another apple. What's wrong?
Zink another apple. Zing another. Zink, he almost forgot about the pears. Tabby liked the first zing, but by the seventh zing, she began to yawn. She began to rose. And about 14 zing, she was around asleep.
Mr. Putter played with his slingshots all afternoon. He played through tea time.
Tea time.
Oh yeah, tea time. He played through supper time. He played until dark when he couldn't see the apples go up anymore. When he was finished, he had no apples and no pear jelly. He was a little embarrassed. He picked up Tabby and sneaked inside.
The afternoon, Mr. Putter and Tabby were sitting on the porch. They felt sorry for. Sorry for.
What? Where are you at?
Right here. Sorry for
Oh.
these. What is this? 17th?
No, themselves.
Themselves because they had no pear jelly.
Suddenly, Mr. Putter's neighbors, Mrs. Teaberry, and her good dog Zeke came by. Mrs. Teaberry was carrying a big basket, a very big basket. She said to Mr. Putter, "It is amazing. When I woke up this morning, there was dozens of apples in my front yard, and I don't even know how. I don't even have apple tree."
Mr. Putter looked at Tabby. Amazing, he said. So I made the apple fest, Miss Teaberry. In the basket, she said, 14 apples, tomato,
Turnover.
5 apple pies, 6 apple jams, and a gallon of hot circular
cider
with cinnamon sticks.
Mr. Putter and Tabby ate juicy things for days and days, and when he was finishing the apple pie, Mr. Putter had an idea about this pear still on his pear tree. He will wait for them to fall off.
And then he would slingshot them, starting zinking. The end.
The illustration in the back.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more, you guys subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye. That was a good story.